So, my name is Jaleesa Marie. I'm a mother of four. I'm a wife. I currently work online for a company that is a really big online university. I am God fearing and consistently thinking about ways to serve and walk within my purpose. I pray every day to get closer and closer to my purpose and to touch someone and reach someone that I can bless because I've been blessed so much. When I started to open up my heart to support, I started to receive support, and along the way, I learned how to be a supporter and how to give support. It wasn't an easy journey. It did not come as a natural thing to me, but what I've always had is a really big heart. I've always wanted to be a giver. Um, I just have not always had it to give. Very recently, in supporting families whose children have disabilities and advocating for them and being in IEP meetings and 504 meetings and really blazing the trail on making sure that schools do right by um, families, I have learned that the state of the economy has been another really big enemy to families all over and families of various income classes as well. If you've already scrolled through this product, then you know that this is about getting your search started in work from home jobs. And I am so happy to be making this video and really making this product plain and clear, just in case there is anything that was confusing in regards to the product. I know that it can be so very, very hard looking for a job. It can be one of the most nerve wracking things that a person could ever do, especially when you're looking for a job at a time where you have no job. Some of us are at work looking for another job, but some of us are at home and taking our kids to school and trying to figure it all out. And I just wanted to provide a solution that wasn't lengthy and um, wouldn't take a lot of time to absorb and consume to just get people started. Um, some things you'll read in this guide and you'll be like, oh, yeah, of course, I know that. And then other things you might be like, oh, okay. Um, you don't know what you don't know. And so everyone's level is at a different space. And I wanted to cater to all levels of those who are looking for their work from home jobs or who know somebody that may benefit from a guide to finding a work from home job. Um, Either you um, you might have a series of things that are happening that make it seem impossible to start the search. Or maybe it's just about having the right tools or the right technology, or maybe you've just been looking so long that you just aren't feeling motivated. But I really hope this motivates you. I hope it inspires you. If you've already been flipping through the pages, then you know my story and where I'm coming from. And my heart is truly devoted to leaving this product with my audience before I move on to a different venture. One of the things I notice when I'm in IEP meetings and 504 meetings is that, you know, it's never a convenient time. Parents are making big sacrifices with their jobs, and with so many other things just to be able to get into these meetings. The pandemic changed so much where finally we were able to do things via Zoom and virtually. And one of the things I noticed was that a large amount of my parents either um, did not have jobs or had jobs that took them so far away from home that sometimes even attending meetings would be impossible because the school is going to schedule meetings for during school hours, right? And if you have a steady job, then during school hours is when you're working. um, Working from home has done so much for my family, has done so much for my balance and my structure. And so it's something I support, but I also support being a business owner. I also support having your side hustle and allowing your main source of income to help you get your next source of income. Um, I want to walk you guys through some of the things in this guide, all of the things in this guide, and just send you with my blessings and my prayers. There's also going to be a way to contact me at the end. And I just look forward to hearing from at least one person that this helped and supported. And so let's jump into it. Ah, okay. So here's what I'm going to do first. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Um, because, of course, being in the guide and understanding the guide is going to be something um, that's important. Okay. So as I share my screen, I want us to be like looking at all the parts. And while we're looking at all the parts, I'm just going to be explaining some things along the way, right? So, the Calm Job Search, right? This is a work from home starter guide for moms. It's a start. Um, this is a clear and supportive guide for moms starting their work from home search. This is my real story. Um, I read this back and I was like, oh, I am spilling quite the tea. But this is my life and this is where I'm at. And I wanted to be able to share that with women and add some encouraging um, and some encouraging words and pages along the way. Um, this is for you if you're a mom looking for work, work from home options, if you want stability, if you're not with the hustle culture, you need clear steps and no pressure to balance your real life responsibilities. This is for you. This guide won't promise you quick wins. I don't do that. But it will help you to move forward calm and confident. Now, I did add a couple of goodies. Um, I wanted to do your resume tips, your interviews, but I also wanted to add a reminder about grace, and a checklist tool, and also offer a 5-day challenge for everything that you've learned. Um, so, whenever you see this click here button in the guide, that's going to be an opportunity to take you to um, another template. Okay. So first, let's talk about who your resume actually says that you are. So when I talk about skills, right, they are truly the key. Okay. Um, Employers want to know who you are. They want to know that you're coachable, and they also want to be able to see that when they look at the actual resume. So your actual resume, they're actually looking at should say something about you. One of the things it should say is what skills you have and the responsibilities that you've performed before. Okay. So I offered you this, and that. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do that was because I wanted to show you that there are different ways to be able to tackle a resume, and we don't have to just stick to one thing. So you can do this, right? You can have your one pager with your transferable skills and your past tense responsibilities, and you can be good. Or you can do your one pager with your cover letter. You can have roles that are role specific skills, and you can do things that are numbers driven. I suggest that you find what's going to work for the job that you're looking for. Okay. You already have a set of skills that you've already started working on. And I think it's best that when you're um, working on that, right, the goal is to be trying to um, cater to the role, right? So here we go. Um, Here's your resume. Here's the key points, right? You want that one pager. You want to know that gaps do not disqualify you, okay? If you have been without a job for a specific period of time, there is a way to explain that. And multiple things and multiple reasons can explain that. If you were caregiving, if you were raising a family, then there are skills that you've obtained from that. So allow yourself to include those skills within your resume and use those as skills that will pump up, what you're trying to do for the role that you're going for. You also want to use a clean layout. Like you don't want nothing too complicated. I'm going to show you guys an example um, of a resume, just so that you can get an idea of like what that looks like, right? So one of the things I'm going to do, I've already downloaded, was a copy of my old teaching resume. And so this resume is like from kind of back in the day when I was trying to get into my master's program. I didn't really know much about resumes. And this is what I came up with. I still landed the goal. It was great. But I didn't quite realize the goal of, narrowing it down to just one thing, one one page. And back then, it wasn't really a thing. But one thing I did do really good was I did make sure that my skills were very, very clear for the role that I wanted. And that's the one thing I just want to teach in this particular way. Now, of course, you can work out your Microsoft Word, and you can shrink your font and get that font down to things being one page. You can also just stick to your skills, your experiences, and your education. That's another way to get your resume down to a page, but we just don't want to do too much, right? Um, this is some language that you guys can use when you have those long gaps and you're looking to take the skills that maybe you've acquired from being at home and trying to put them into your resume. So, coordinating schedules, right? Because that's what we do with kids. Communicating, documenting for multiple stakeholders. So, if you're writing emails already to your children's teachers, you're already establishing documentation, right? Uh, managing, managing competing, manage competing priorities in high pressure environments. Okay, so if you do have multiple things you have to choose from, or decide on, or schedule, then you know that's another form of doing just that. If you're supporting diverse needs, right? That's just multiple people who are needing multiple things. If you have children with disabilities, you're supporting diverse needs while meeting structured expectations. Because you have set those expectations doesn't mean they aren't structured and doesn't mean they are not important. You're not behind, okay? You are experienced in ways that your resume doesn't always explain. So you want to make sure that you put that in your resume and that that explanation begins to happen. So one of the things that I wanted to do with this video, or something that I felt like was really important, was to show you how to take a resume and be able to curtail it to what you're looking for. Uh, okay. So one of the things I like to do now is to I want to open up ChatGPT. Okay. And as I open it up, I'm going to go to this chat that I created long before with the work from home search. And what I'm going to have chat do right now is use this res use this description to pull out skills in my resume that will fit to an employer. Okay. So the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now upload said resume that I told you guys about before, right? So I'm going to upload that resume. But I'm also going to put the description of a job that I actually want in the resume. So let me tell you how this works. We're going to go to linkedin.com/jobs. Now, what I like about LinkedIn is you can really use the jobs section to um, filter like what it exactly it is that you're looking for. Okay, so we're going to search jobs now, and this filter is going to come up on the top. Okay, let me just show you this. Content only. Okay, so this filter is going to come up on the top, and when it comes up, the first thing I'm going to do is select remote. I'm going to leave the company blank because I want to give myself open opportunities. I'm going to select my salary as 60K plus, and I'm going to then select show results because um, that's going to make that stick. That's going to make the filter be saved. When I go to the date that is posted, you could do the past 24 hours, okay, which will show you 8,000 results. And then your experience level is completely up to you. But I'm going to go entry level, 4,000 results. Okay. So I know I want a remote job at a company, right? I know I want remote. Here we go. I know I want remote at a company, 60K. I know I want entry level, and I know I want it to have been posted in the last 24 hours. Now, you're going to get a lot of different things, right? But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to start off with a remote um, sales position. And so it's a lot of different ways you can do that. If you don't want commission, I know a lot of moms are like, I do not want to be with the hustle and the bustle um, of sales commission. However, travel coordinator, right? So a remote travel coordinator has these different positions and things. Now, mind you, I'm taking a teaching resume, okay, and I'm asking ChatGPT to pull out these skills. So what I'm going to do for this job is I'm going to highlight the key details of the actual job, right? So this is saying what you'll be doing, and this is saying we're expanding our team and seeking, okay? Okay, seeking detail oriented, right? So from what they're seeking all the way down to those skills, I'm just going to copy that. So once I copy that, I'm going to um, throw that into chat. Okay. And so I've already uploaded my resume. I've already tell them to use the description to pull out skills in my resume that will fit to the employer. I'm going to tell ChatGPT the plan. The plan is to help my resume attract this listing, right? Now, I put in quotation marks. I'm going to uh, put the whole thing in there, right? And then I'm going to send it up. Now, I have extended thinking on for ChatGPT just because that's something that I feel like is going to give me the best and most solid type of research that ChatGPT is going to offer. And it's going to be thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, right? I use chat a lot for a lot of different things. Um, Mostly because, okay, here we go. Mostly because I just want to refine things and make sure I'm doing things correctly or in the right order, not necessarily to take things word for word. And here's what it says. Absolutely. Here are the skills already in your resume that match this remote travel coordinating travel advisor listing, right? Plus exact wordings that you can copy into your resume to attract this role honestly. Okay, because honesty is the point, right? And a couple of times in the product, I say don't lie now. So your strongest match skills, right, with proof from your resume. And so it pretty much takes what's already in my resume, right, and walks it out. Now it's my job to curtail that, right, and make that something that's going to work for me. So this is just a quick tip. Like if you want to search for the job first and then make the resume curtail to that, that's just like something I would do, right? That's if I'm looking for something and I'm like, this is what I want. And if you're looking for similar jobs along the way, then of course, that's going to be a part of that, right? That's going to probably match in with those same skills. Okay. All right, good. I didn't want that to be too complicated or to do too much. Okay. Um, in the in the job search, you want to be someone that is making sure you are spelling things correctly and all of the things. You want to make sure that your format is good and all of the things. Chat is good for that. You can say, format my resume. It's always going to ask you what it can do for you next. So you want to take advantage of that, like next, those next points. Okay. Okay, cool. So here we go. The next thing I want to do in this calm job search is talk a little bit about the interview process. And so, what your interview should look and feel like virtually is, listen, you got in your call back, right? You didn't did the thing with ChatGPT and worked out that resume. Now they want to know what's up. You want to make sure that your technology is on point because your internet connection is being interviewed. If you think about it, your employer is going to be dependent on you to accomplish tasks and to clock in on time. So being on time for an interview is beyond important. It's beyond important because when you're in the virtual space, everything with time matters. Your schedule will be about time. Your different tasks that you have to complete in spans of time will be about time because there are 8 hours in a workday. And in order to um, get things done, we need to be utilizing every inch of our time. You also want to be taking your breaks and things like that. Let me tell you something else though. So, yes, this interview is the interview is great. It's important. You want to make sure that you're checking your internet connection and all the things, but you also want to talk to your family. Okay? The family needs to know that mommy or daddy is working from home. We need to start setting the stage. If the door is closed, this is not the time. I know it can be hard, especially when you have like smaller children, but let's say, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna be doing my work from home while my baby's at school. But then baby get home at 3 o'clock. So maybe we want to take a lunch around then instead of taking it early. So we can give baby that hour to set baby up real good. Okay. Talking to your family about how important it is that you have this space is important because some employers are like, oh, yeah, we know everybody's at home until you get on that phone and they're listening to your recordings or when if you make that mistake or if somebody's spilling orange juice on the keyboard, right? You want to make sure that your family is on board and understands that what you're doing is the thing. So a couple of things is um, you can have a sign that you put on the door when you're working. Because sometimes, maybe your door's closed a lot. You want to put a sign on the door when you're working. You want to have some type of signal that says, I'm working. Even if it's just you saying, okay, I'm working, everybody good, setting up, your snack is good, the TV on, you all right? Just to make sure they understand. Establishing that sort of thing can be very, very helpful. When it comes to the interview process, I just say check your connection, be professional, and also know that there are so many different types of interview styles. So one of the things that I was able to research, I hope this, I did this a long time ago. Uh, it was like interview questions or something where I was um, doing an interview, and whatever the interview was, it was like the person was asking me about how I would handle a conflicting situation, okay, and what that would look like. And for me, there were these various steps that I had to walk through for the person. So it was like, how would you handle the situation? How would you include your team to support you in the situation? And then how do you follow up on the situation? So different things like that. Chat GPT can also support you. Okay, there are various interview styles that employers use. Um, so just be ready for that also. Okay. All right, let's go into these key points, right? You do not need to overshare your personal life details. You can answer confidently without pretending everything is perfect. Preparation reduces anxiety. I used to get so nervous in interviews, you guys, so nervous in interviews. And eventually, I managed to learn that the more prepared and confident I felt, the better I was. I would almost put myself in the mindset of, I don't really even need this job. Like, that's how calm and that's how I had to like psych myself, because the more you feel like you need something, sometimes it can really rev up the pressure. Okay. So you want to be able to talk about yourself. So knowing your availability, knowing your boundaries, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses are things that are going to come up always in an interview. People sometimes have the best time talking about what they're great at, right? I'm really great at structure, organization. I'm really great at collaboration and communication. I'm great at all these things. And then the employer says, where do you have challenges? And then you're just blinking. Well, I'm an overthinker. There are times where when I need to accomplish a task, I need to tell myself to calm down a little bit more and do a little bit more thinking, and that turns into too much thinking, right? Or another thing you could say is, yeah, so I get very passionate about, my task, and that can sometimes be something that, you know, um, turns into overthinking or turns into something else. I would say look deep into what you already know to be true about yourself and make sure you're framing it in a way that can almost be a benefit. Okay, so I'm too passionate, right? I overthink. You don't want to say I'm always late. Don't say that. Don't say you late. Nobody wants a late person, right? Um, you can even say like I'm an over researcher. Like I need to know everything about everything, and sometimes I have to remind myself to just stop at the first thing I find, and then wait until I need more information. So, like, you never want your negatives to be too negative. You just want them to be negative enough to be challenges for you. And you also want to talk into what you do to overcome that negative. So, every time you talk about a challenge that you have, you want to talk about the ways that you also, the strategies that you also use to overcome that challenge. And that's how you talk about your challenges. Okay, it took me so long to get that out, but yeah. Also, just remember you interviewing them too. And so, good interview questions for you to ask is like, hey, what do you expect out of this role outside of what's on paper, right? Because they could tell you all the things, but like, what are your expectations, you know, of the character of the person in this role? Right? Um, or, what is your favorite thing about your role as it pertains to um, the support you get to serve, you know, the support you get to supply to your employer? Like, you want to ask them about what their expectations are of you. You want to ask them about how they would describe the overall culture and climate of the work environment, because even remote jobs have work environments. Okay. One thing I absolutely love about my work from home job is that we have such a happy, positive, upbeat, and supportive climate and culture, right? We are giving each other virtual high fives and virtual hugs. We are congratulating each other for every single little win, no matter what it is. And we know that it's like a genuine thing, because when we come together in the weekly um, meeting, it's all love, and we have a leader. Our director is a really great person at curating that environment, right? So you can speak to the type of environment you want. Um, but you just don't want to do that necessarily in the interview. In the interview, you want to be finding out what type of environment you're going to be getting, and you want to show up as an upbeat, energetic, positive person anyway, because I don't care what job you're applying for. Nobody wants to work with somebody that's hard to work with. This is 8 hours a day that you're spending time communicating, emailing, calling, chatting, being in meetings, whatever, with another person. And so they don't want it to be a unpleasurable experience. I'm not saying that you have to code switch or be like a whole nother person. I'm just saying that you want to make sure that the energy that you're giving in an interview feels permanent. Okay? All right. Now, how do we know that a job is legit? So we want to use our search engines, we want to use our brains, okay? We don't want to get desperate about a job and just be picking anything. And so that's one of the reasons why um, going to LinkedIn was one of my first like go-tos for this, because I'm like, I know that this is going to get me to at least a space where there's a website attached that I can take over to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, check this out for me," right? Okay, so here's some prompting. Engines such as ChatGPT utilize prompts to give specific legitimacy church search, right? So list legitimate work from home jobs that do this, 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 and this. Okay, so these are the jobs that this is the prompt that you're putting in. Okay. And so why this prompt works is because it filters out scams and avoids vague or misleading roles. And then it focuses on real employers. So we're going to remember that real jobs don't ask for money. They don't rush you to hurry up and decide things. And the listing explains the role very, very clear. Um, Also, um, I have some listings here. Okay, so let's go into our listings here. Um, and I want you to see just a little bit of what I've created so far. So once you click on that link in your PDF, you're going to be able to see all of these job listings. Now, what I will tell you guys, ooh, why did I do that? I gotta lock it. What I will tell you guys is that American Express right now does not have a lot of remote jobs, right? For whatever reason, it's just not in a ministry as far as customer service is concerned. I found it very, very difficult. Um, but it doesn't mean they never have. I literally have a friend that works for American Express. So it doesn't mean they never have those jobs. It just means that right now that's not what they have. So Amazon, American Express, Belay, Boldly, CVS Health, United Health Group, Conduent. These are like remote workers. Smith AI, Ruby. These are like all remote jobs that are like known for their remote work. Enrollment advisor. So I'm an admissions advisor for a university, and I'll tell you that Southern New Hampshire, WGU, CTU, AIU, all of these jobs are jobs that are commonly hiring. They do hire at various points of the year. So I would follow these jobs on like social media and like sit back and wait and see what they post. But we don't want to wait too long, right? So in the process, we want to look at these other positions. And so I just wanted to make sure that we looked according to the position. Um, so that we could filter out what you guys might want to actually apply to do and then know that those are the jobs for that. Okay? Okay, cool. So the next thing, oh, this is okay. So the next thing is when it comes to, boy, starting all over. So when it comes to your work from home search, we're making sure that things are legitimate. We're clicking on our listing here to get to those other things. And then I write a note for Grace, right? You all can read that on your own. But it is truly near and dear to me to create this product, as I've said before. Um, and now we get to the 5 day challenge. So you want to search it first, right? If you want it, look for it. work from home, dream company. How do you know what you're building in a resume if you don't dream? So that's the reason why I'm taking you guys through that first step, which is to look for the job and then have ChatGPT curtail your resume to the job. Okay. And so the first thing you want to do is you want to really go through this extensive search. Like it's very real. You want to look through, you want to read, and you just want that to be day one. 'Cause see, I don't want this to be super overwhelming, right? It might seem like, oh, I could do all this in a day, and that's cool. Listen, if that's your ministry, girl, you do you. But for me, I just feel like the job search process can be so overwhelming. And so, what I would want to do is, I would want to make sure that I'm really taking the time to field out and to weed these different positions and roles and to utilize these searches, okay, and these search filters. The next thing for day two would be to upload your resume into ChatGPT and use the prompt chat. Please refine this resume to highlight my skills and be transferable as being transferable to this role. And then you want to stop and look and see what it does. Then you want to take that, right? Because it ChatGPT already came up with your stuff. So then you want to curtail that to the resume. You want to take this information right here. Let's see, right? And it's going to ask you at the bottom, um, if you paste your current resume bullets you want to keep or tell me which roles you want featured. I'll write your top half of the resume into travel coordinator version that's ATS friendly and true to experience. So I'm going to say, please please rewrite my entire resume to work, um oh, I'm sorry, to transfer directly to this role. No longer a teaching resume and only one page. Also, write a cover letter as well and let her cook. Just saying. So, yeah, ultimately it's going to be thinking and it's going to be thinking and it's going to be writing. And I'm like such a freaking multitasker that I'm going to just let it do that. I'm going to talk to you about a few other things as it's working. So you want to edit this resume and have it, curtail and figure those things out. And then you want to give it to a friend. Okay. And I could be the friend. You can literally do this and send me your resume and be like, girl, what you think? Let me tell y'all something. Back in my hustle culture days, I used to do resumes. And people would send me over resumes and tell me what they wanted from their resumes. And I would upload their resumes into ChatGPT and have ChatGPT do their thing. I used to charge $35 a resume, and this is available on LinkedIn. So, in LinkedIn has a services page, and inside of this services page, or inside of your page, you can offer services in ChatGPT. And I would have the resumes be refreshed, and I would set up a video call, like a 15-minute call, where I would come on. And when I was done with the resume, I would share my screen, show the person what I had done, and ask them if they wanted anything different done. I would then, right there in front of them, curtail and refine the resume and send it back and get my money. So that's one resume taking me 15, maybe 20 minutes to do. Sometimes it got a little funky, 30 minutes, and I'm making $35. So I made $70 an hour every two resumes I needed to produce. And it was rolling like hotcakes. I'm just saying. So you give it to a professional, a friend, and ask if they would hire you if they saw your resume. You get that feedback. You keep on curtailing and curtailing and curtailing, and then you apply, apply, apply. There are engines out here that will search to see if your resume has been created by AI. And so there is a way to combat that. And so one of the things you want to do is you can also, whatever ChatGPT gives you, you can type in manually because those search systems are just looking for that copy and paste feature and factor, and they're scanning for that. Um, you can change language and switch words and reorder things as well to combat that. All right, so here we go. Follow up emails. So, first things first. Littlebooty23@gmail.com is not the email address for you. We're going to keep it to the first name dot the last name, or the last name first and then the first name at whatever the thing is.com. I know for some of you guys that seems like a no brainer, but I've definitely done enough resumes to see unprofessional email. Now, I also give you guys a little something extra in the follow up email. So let's just look at that for a second, okay? So one of the things that I give you is I give you a template that you can literally just copy and paste, right? So in 5 to 7 business days after an interview, you want to be polite and check in. You want to do this follow up in this way. Now, I wanted to put that timing in there because I need to tell y'all that nobody wants somebody to be like bum rushing them immediately after an interview. Okay, that's not a thing. Don't make it a thing. Okay, you really and literally want for your employer to be like, okay, this isn't a person that's gonna be like super hackling, right? You want to reach out. You don't want to be annoying. Um, in 7 to 10 business days, this is what it should look like. Um, in 7 to 10 business days, this is what it should look like, right? I wanted to reach out one final time regarding the role. I've enjoyed learning about your organization, da da da, right? And then I also added some positives in regards to, what employers might or might not say, and then what kind of those things mean. And also, what they might or might not say that's telling indicating to you that this is going to be a no. Now, this is not dead set, right? So, you know, different personalities move different ways. Sometimes you think it's a no and it's a yes. Sometimes you think it's a yes and it's a no. Sometimes that same upbeat personality you went into the interview with, that's what they got too, right? And sometimes that can be misleading. And that's where the follow up emails kind of come in. So I wanted to make sure to include that in the job search so that people really understood, so you guys really understood like where I was coming from with that. The other thing I wanted to say about that aspects of things when it comes to the follow up email is something that I wrote in these notes. So, um, you want to make sure that you're also keeping that grace in your heart for whatever it is God has for you. Okay, because sometimes God, another person's rejection can be God's protection. Sometimes it's just not for you. Sometimes you need to apply to multiple places. Sometimes you need to spend some time with it. But we're not going to get down and out, right? Or thinking that this is not for us or we're never going to find a job. You're going to find a job, okay? Staying organized is like literally a part of my core being. So I could not move on without making a checklist. You're going to use this checklist systematically. You're going to think about your planning and then you're going to think about your action. Okay, and that's going to be important. Now, even though you can't necessarily write into this plate, I would advise printing it. I would also say, like, get your own little booklet and hey, write down what the plan is and what the action is, just to get yourself started. So, the link to this video should have been in the end of this, at the end of the digital product, or maybe it's possible that it came in your email. I especially want you guys to keep in touch with me. I have the Guardian Teacher TikTok. But mostly, if you email me, I'm very responsive, especially once a product has been created. I love to respond as soon as possible. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood that I'm here to give you all the support possible, even as I move on to other things. And if you guys have any questions or any additional askings about this product, uh, even how I made it, right? I'm fine with teaching you guys how I made it, um, how I even decided what to do with ChatGPT, how I added the links and the listing. Um, all of these things are things that I've just learned along the way as being a business owner, and then also working from home and just having to really develop and build certain skills. So, thank you guys so much for grabbing this freebie. And I hope that you all are blessed and that you know that you are supported and loved. And if by nobody else, then by me. Okay? All right, you guys.